All right, it says we're live. Hello, everyone. If you're watching it live and if you're watching it recorded, I'm No Hype Beer Reviews, and I'm joined today by Sam of
Hoppier Days YouTube channel.
So I got thinking about it today. I think that I've been doing this about 4 years. Is that about what you've been doing it for?
I think so. Yeah, about 4 years. Yeah, I would say that's right. Spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw how the algorithm will kick out old videos of people sometimes, and it was from 3 years ago, I want to say, for you. So yeah, I was like, I wonder what, we must be close. And then we used to have that group text going with Dan and Lizzie from Till Beer Do Us Part.
Yeah, they had a kid, so they stopped making videos and stuff.
I know, it's so lame. Who has kids? I'm a father of two, so.
Are you? Okay, yeah.
But I see they did come back. They did come back. They did a couple cool videos where they had the Aldi brand clone of a beer and compared it to the regular one. It's a cool idea. I like it.
Yeah, really cool idea. They could branch out we're giving them ideas. I think Trader Joe's kind of has knockoff beers too. They could do like a Trader Joe type.
Really? That's good to know. We have one. I mean, every time I try to go, there's a line wrapped around.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not waiting that line. So I actually have no idea what's in there beer wise.
Dude, Trader Joe's, if you go there, it's just like specialty stuff. If you go to Trader Joe's, it's not like you're going to get your grocery shopping done. They literally have butter that's like ground up cookies, and it's like cookie butter, and people go nuts over it. It's like, yeah, but what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, exactly.
But they do have like these like 22-ounce bottles that are like brown ales and like lagers that they're their own Trader Joe's brews, and they're like $2.50 or something. I haven't liked a single one that I've got from there, but
I know they've done, or they do, I think every year it's that Canadian brewery that does like Le Fin or Fin de Monde, like at the end of the world, and I think Unibrow maybe, but I think they do one of theirs, like maybe their Christmas beer. But I've never. Yeah, just every time I go, the line is out the door around the corner. I'm like, I'm not waiting on that.
It's trendy. It's very trendy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, my younger sister's like, oh yeah, I got these cauliflower Yankees. They're the best. You got to go to Trader Joe's and get them. And I'm like, all right, well, every time I try, I'm not waiting in that line.
Yeah. Nope. Between Wegmans and Trader Joe's, it's like, man, I there's enough specialty stuff. I don't need it.
And I am so envious of Wegmans, because when I moved to Albany, it's where Price Chopper's from. And I guess they have like a gentleman's agreement, no Price Choppers in Rochester and no Wegmans in Albany. I miss Wegmans. I hate shopping. I loved going to Wegmans.
So I think I learned that from, you might have mentioned that on another video, and I think I learned that from you, that kind of like non-compete thing they almost have. But we do have Price Choppers up here in like Syracuse area, and I think I'm a chopper shopper over Wegmans.
I like when the one stop.
Yeah, Wegmans just is so packed, man. It's so packed.
Which is true. All right, so what are you drinking? We should probably start by talking about beers. Okay.
Well, I'm drinking one that while you were one that used to be near you. It's I haven't had this before. Thunder Buddies. I figured appropriate. We're hanging out, having a conversation. It's strawberry mallow blueberry fruited sour, 6.5% alcohol. It's Beer Tree and the North Brewery. I don't know much about the North Brewery. But yeah, this Beer Tree one, I bought it as a single at this place, the Fair Deli in Syracuse. It's awesome. They make these sandwiches and stuff, but then they just got into craft beer, and they get so much stuff. And they got a walk-in cooler. Half the people don't know about the walk-in cooler, so some of the stuff stays around a day or two extra, so you can get there a day late and still get some good stuff. But
I happen to go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm not a marshmallow fan, so I don't know how much I'm gonna like this, but we'll find out.
Let me know, because I go back and forth. Sometimes I think it just ferments the sugar and you don't get a lot of marshmallow taste, and then sometimes I swear I do get marshmallow. If vanilla's added, I can get marshmallow taste from vanilla a lot. But The North Brewery, actually, so that's from my hometown, Endicott. So I do happen to know a ton about the North Brewery because they were the first. Well, they're still the only brewery in my hometown, and then, yeah, I'm a big fan of them and Beer Tree. All right, so my man Ross, Wegmans has an amazing selection. Do you have Wegmans out in your area in Chicago, Ross? That if you have Wegmans out in Chicago and I don't have a Wegmans in Albany, New York, I'm gonna be mad, Ross.
I mean, they're spreading out, man.
All right, so Dr. Grilled Cheese is
Love the name.
here. Yeah, he's local to that area. Unless I'm getting my wires crossed. Try it, Sam. Tell us, is it too sweet? I'm curious.
Well, look at that. Look at this dark raspberry color here.
Great New York glass too. That's cool.
It smells a lot like marshmallow. As soon as I dive in to sip it, though, I'm not even smelling it. Whoa. Yeah, it is. It's marshmallow. It's vanilla. Marshmallow and vanilla kind of have that similar.
Yeah.
Raspberry. It tastes more like raspberry than strawberry and blueberry. Whoa. It's like it's probably Thunder Buddies because it's like you need to split this with someone.
I do think sometimes when you have a berry sour, it's just raspberry, regardless if it has that in it or not.
I can 100% agree with that. My mind always goes to raspberry.
Yep. Same with me. A little in Chicagoland, Burbs have clients in Wisconsin. Wow, I didn't realize Wegmans had that big of a reach. I knew they were like south a little bit in New York, but I didn't realize west a little bit.
Neither did I.
And can get stuff like wow, they have Drecker there. That's nuts. And Matthew, you are a smart man. Yeah, if my wife didn't get an amazing job in Albany, I probably would live somewhere within 30 miles or minutes of Wegmans. Yeah, for sure. So
Matt, good man.
Yeah, you know him? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I know he's a Philly guy.
Oh, nice. I love Philly. That's one of my. I used to run I'm a teacher. I used to run a club, and we would do 2 trips a year, and we'd always throw in Philly, DC, and Boston. We always made a point to throw in Philly. So I'm doing a grape sour. So we're both kind of thinking something similar with. I've had the smaller version of this, but I just look at the color. Like, it tastes 1,000 times better than it looks.
Yeah, man, it looks like kind of like soy sauce or something.
Yeah, it's not a pretty looking beer, but I guess when you mix grapes into like just water, to make the beer, it's not going to look like your beer. It looks really obvious. It has something like a strawberry, a blueberry, whereas this, it's like freaking.
Or it's kind of like an olive color.
Brown. Yeah.
Did you write something on the bottom of your can that you poured in there? Did I see something on the? Oh yeah.
Bottom? Okay. So thank you for bringing it up. This is courtesy my friend Chris. Thank you so much, Chris, for sending me this beer. I would hate for someone to send me a beer to review and not remember who sent it. So I take a Sharpie and I write on the bottom who sent me the beers. Little trick. Yeah, I would just hate to do that.
Yep. I've gotten beer mail before, and I'll just put like masking tape on it and stuff and be like, I can't forget to thank this person. I thought for a second maybe you wrote under there, like, for your wife not to drink it. She checks the bottom of the one she can't drink.
Don't touch. It does look like creek water. That's probably the most, like where a creek and maybe sewage water meet. It's like brown or gray water. It's like very much that color, but it's delicious. It's delicious. I promise.
Who's it from? You didn't say. I don't think.
Oh, it's from Hightower. They're not in Pittsburgh, but they get a lot of their love from Pittsburgh. I think they're in Ohio. Of course, I can't find it. Yeah, Rayland, Ohio. Hightower. They make some really nice sours. I've had some good hoppy beers, and then they have like stouts that they'll age in barrels. I think they do a really nice job. So it's a good variety, I like a variety of beers, and I think they do a good variety. They do it well. Yeah, no, good call on that.
So one thing I remembered I wanted to point out when I was pouring this, because I read it earlier on this Beer Tree can, it says, "Recycle me. When I grow up, I want to be a new Beer Tree brew." I thought that's pretty clever.
I like it. It's like The Alchemist do like the don't be a DB and recycle.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I like that little bit more of a push in a fun way. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So one things that we talked about offline, you would watch one of these live streams, and I had mentioned how like people assume I'm a beer guy, and like that's all I would
Mhm.
ever want to talk about. And you said that resonated with you. So
Yep.
I would love to hear you talk about that, but also because what I do, so many people do. Here's a beer. Here's my thoughts on it. Here's what I'm tasting, smelling, and I'm out. Whereas you, I don't know anyone who's doing what you're doing in the beer space. I hate to say like that makes it sound like this is much
Mhm.
more of a conversation that needs to be, but
Mhm.
I'm curious, and but I do want to know more about your
Yeah.
style specifically. But I'm curious, so I know, and you can speak to this. You being like people assuming you're the beer guy, but because your videos are funny,
Mhm.
are you also like the guy that there's an expectation to be funny all the time, or like so? Talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're no hype beer reviews, and then I'm definitely just all hype beer reviews.
I didn't even notice that. Nice, nice. I
um,
love it.
yeah. So my channel, I started making it because, like, you know, they say, I mean, my YouTube channel's older than that, but it was like just a video dump of dumb sketches I made in college and around that time. But then I like unlisted those, and I was like, you know, I want to keep video editing. And at the time, my job, I went back to working grounds, and I loved working grounds, being outside, doing landscaping, stuff like that. But I wasn't doing video editing or anything like that, which I went to school for. And I was like, I gotta do some video editing, but I need projects. And I was like, you know, they say make videos on things you know, and like I really like craft beer, so I was like, maybe I could find this niche of craft beer and like comedy and do that. So that was kind of the whole inspiration to start the channel. The first couple videos are, I mean, my videos are still pretty cringy, but like my first couple are like even cringier. And then I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to take it even farther and farther and farther with my video editing and be entertaining, but also like provide a couple notes on like the beer itself.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. So it just really came out of like just trying to find a niche. And after I started making some videos, excuse me, I like really developed a relationship with people who were watching them and just people commenting. And that's really been the thing that's really kept me making them. Is I love the comments I get. I love the just the feedback I get. I'm kind of like, that's what I strive for, is just the feedback ethic, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where it came from. When, you know, other people say, oh, he's got a beer channel, then they just feel like they're obligated to talk to me about beer all the time, you know, because of my beer YouTube channel. And I'm almost hesitant to tell people about my beer YouTube channel because of that. You know what I mean? One example is like, you know, you tell someone about, and I think we mentioned this via DMs or whatever. You mentioned, oh, I have, you know, I do this beer YouTube thing or this beer social media thing, and then they instantly, you know, you're out at a bar with them, whether it's a coworker or something, and they order a Heineken. They're like, you probably hate this shit, Sam, and I'm like, dude, don't. It doesn't matter. I honestly, like, I could care less what my coworker's drinking, you know, as long as it's not poisoned. I don't, you know, I don't care what it is, or I don't care what, you know, they can have whatever they want, you know.
Yeah.
I'll have a conversation about it. I'll aside from like Miller High Life, I'll drink a Bush Light from time to time, and
Right. But what about like the comedy? So, and this is the thing that I mentioned in that live stream that you had watched and reached out to me about. That like I'm a way bigger fan of comedy than beer. Like and I'm glad that you mentioned. I should have assumed this about you, but like they used to make sketch comedy and stuff like that. Was my friends and I in high school for sure. We were in the audio visual club, which is like the geekiest sounding thing ever. But like we would edit our videos, and then we were skateboarders and inliners, so we make like skate tapes and things like that. But then when college hit, it just kind of like I didn't have those. I didn't have comedy people. You know, like I didn't have people to do that with anymore. So that became more like the music part of me was more because it was easier for like, oh, you have a shirt of a band I like. It was easier to like meet people that way with music. So I kind of got out of it, and I love that you have combined both. Well,
yeah, I appreciate that. And so it sounds like we had similar backgrounds. So in high school, I was in like what would have been the AV club, but it wasn't really an AV club. It was a couple, classes, and then an advanced class. And what we would we do live productions of the sports games, whether it's the basketball games or the volleyball games, and like I would set up all that stuff to stream it to air it on our public access channel. Really? And so our high school, Oneida High School, was linked up with PAC 10, then became PAC 99. It was the public access channel. And so I got really interested in that we could get a live feed right to the public access channel, and we could do production. I could get 2 cameras set up, and like we'd shoot the basketball games, and I'd be on the switchboard, never showing my face or anything. And I would get, two jocks from high school that I was friends with or something. And they would love, because they all just, I don't know if I could say it was their wet dream to be like a broadcaster, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like, I don't know if that's too far on your channel.
No, it's fine. I just being a teacher, I don't say stuff like that on my channel. I could not care less what anyone else talks about or says. Yeah.
So they all picture themselves as Bob Costas or whatever. So I got these people to want to be in front of the camera, and we broadcast it. They'd commentate over it. We cut to them, and it was a lot of fun, the production aspect. But I always wanted to do comedy stuff. Fast forward to college, I met a lot of people who were into film and recording. So that's where all editing sketches and stuff came from. So I feel more comfortable with the edited stuff. That's why I'm so heavily edited, and it takes me longer to get my videos out. But also I love the production aspect. That's why I do the Friday night trivias, because I always want to like tinker with the newest stuff, or make the value better every week, and just see what I can do with like the littlest amount of resources in that sense, and just like get better at it. Like, for example, the Friday night trivias I do, they're very like produced just right here in this room, and I have my gear and stuff set up, and like I got my sound drops and everything. And then I have a brewery that asks me, hey, Sam, they're a Syracuse brewery, do you want to do live trivia at our brewery for like Thursday night or Friday night? And I'm like, it doesn't really translate, man. My stuff doesn't translate to like a live performance like that. I need my sound drops. If people aren't engaged with it, they're sitting at the bar, and I'm having like a Beavis and Butthead sound drop or something. It just doesn't work. But I'm also I don't have like the writing ability where I could do stand up. So this is my kind of like combination of comedy, beer review stuff hybrid. I kind of want my channel to be like that pub feel where it's like beers, laughing. There's always trivia with pub stuff. You know what I mean? So that's where all this this amalgamation comes from.
Okay. So, I ramble. What's up?
And I ramble a lot, so I apologize.
No, it's good. No, I don't know how many people watch both of us. I don't know if itches you scratch that I don't, et cetera, et cetera. I love watching other people do the thing I do, and as you know, I'll send you messages sometimes, like great video or whatever. Like I definitely like your stuff as well. But I wonder if there are people who are fans of both or watch both. I hate this. Fans or whatever, but like people who watch both of ours. Subscribers, there you go. But
I'm curious about that too. I mean, there's got to be some overlap. I mean, I have 1,300, and I think I saw you had 1,800 or something when I looked. So like, there's got to be some in that beer.
I would think so.
If anyone's watching that subscribes to both, let us know.
For sure.
If you guys don't subscribe to both, subscribe to both.
Yeah, for sure. Hoppier days. And it's in the description box for sure. So I like, my wife got the biggest kick out of it. There was in the Netherlands, a Dutch. There's some really cool Dutch beer reviewers that I've gotten to know. But anyway, this one guy did like his 5 favorite beer reviewers on YouTube. So we had to like dub it in English because he was speaking Dutch, and the word translated. He started talking about me, and the word translated to he likes it on monotone. And she laughed and laughed. But I get it. Like in my reviews, it's the last thing I do. So I'm tired from the day. And so I probably am pretty docile. This is a really long way of saying, if people watch both our channels, I wonder how different they think you and I would be. But like when I was listening to you talk, I hate telling jokes, but I've always wanted to do stand-up. And like, I hate repeating myself. And I hate like when people tell me a joke, I hate the whole experience. The whole time, like, which part of this is a punchline that I'm supposed to fake laugh at so that I can, move on and get out of this uncomfortable situation. But improv, we're, bouncing off of people. I would, in a different world, I would be doing improv right now or writing material for someone else to deliver. Because I don't think I could, off of a script, deliver well. But, so it's super interesting to me that we have that as an overlap as well. Speaking of the comedy and sticking to the comedy though, so you mentioned Beavis and Butthead. I'm curious, do you have like inspiration for your style of humor that you're trying to do with your channel, or just things you were into that probably have soaked in? But like, I don't want to say that there's a show that you remind me of if they did beer stuff. So I don't want to say it without hearing you talk about maybe some stuff you like comedy wise and maybe some influences.
So there's one that I've been told many a time, which I don't know if I don't really like their stuff. So I'm wondering if it's the same one. But first and foremost, my favorite comedy is Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld, which doesn't really translate to what I do. I like, so you said improv. I don't know if the stuff that I like to do, I mean, I like improvisational, but like improv with a group, I don't know so much. So like, I like the long-winded tangents where it could go anywhere kind of thing. That's what I'm into, if that makes sense. But where I get my video editing from, it's a lot of like just kind of odd, bizarre thoughts that I have of like, I just want it to make it weird, or I record a lot when I do a beer review, probably like 30 minutes, and then I try to edit it down to like 7 to 10 minutes, and then I'm like, if it's not entertaining every like the Simpsons rule, if there's not like a joke every 15 seconds or 20 seconds, I don't know if I want to put something in there, or I'm reviewing the beer within that chunk of 20 to 40 seconds. A lot of it's YouTube influence. There's just the goofy zaniness. It doesn't need to make sense. Sometimes you can just poke someone just right to make them laugh with something that just doesn't make sense, but it is funny. I don't know. And then I get a little political humor in there, which sometimes pisses some people off. But I mean, I try to make it all about my personality. So like, if I don't do that, I'm doing a disservice to myself. Yeah. Was the show you were going to say, would it be Tim and Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I get.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Weird, some random, sometimes quick edits, things like that. I was a bigger fan of Tom Goes to Mayor, their first show, than it was. But anyway.
I don't mind them. I just don't. For some reason, that doesn't click with me. I don't know why. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I would have thought maybe an influence from them. I'm glad you mentioned The Simpsons, because that's a show that definitely influential on me. Yeah.
Let me I want to
Wegman's comments are Wegman's comments greater sign than the live stream content. Yes, you're correct.
Yes.
From the Beer
Patrol. I wanted to ask you, because I knew you were a teacher, you mentioned it. And we mentioned people talking about our channels. I had a couple questions here I wrote, actually. Things I might have mentioned, but I want to go back. I want to talk about this one, and then another one you mentioned about you being monotone. And I'm only saying that just so we can remember.
Okay.
do you ever? So I don't know what you teach. I assume you strike me as a history teacher, but I don't know why.
History.
I knew it. I knew it. And I don't know if I've seen any video where you've mentioned that.
I don't know if I've gotten that specific. That I don't remember. Yeah.
Do any of your students know about your channel?
Not current students, no, but definitely some former students who maybe I befriended on social media or whatever. Yeah, but I wouldn't get fired for this. Like nothing bad would happen. I'm not breaking any rules. Union knows about it. Like it's such a non-issue. The superintendent co-owns a distillery, so like definitely nothing would be villainized. But that is why I don't swear. Like, what if a parent or a kid did find it and they like make a compilation of me saying the F word for 20 minutes and put that out there? That might be a little problematic. Even if it wasn't like a losing a job problematic, it's just it's just not
right.
good.
My mind didn't even go there when I was asking that. So that's kind of interesting and smart. I was thinking more. You get someone coming in and, what do they call you? Do they call you Mr. K? What do they call you?
They do. I don't want to put my last name out there, but they do call me by my last name. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, let's say they call you Kyle. They're like, yo, Kyle, saw your newest video, man.
Yeah.
Like that would be so like annoying,
I'd probably have way more subscribers if they knew about it, but
that's true.
But yeah, no, it's just I don't know. But it is like sometimes people be like, oh, you should do more stuff on the road or whatever. It's like, yeah, but then I don't know. If I drove to the brewery to do that, I must have driven home after, or the assumption would be I drove myself home. I don't know, just like yeah, it is always a thought in the back of my mind. What would the optics be on this if the wrong parent saw this or whatever, Right. But to my knowledge, no parent has ever found it or whatever. And and again, I'm not doing anything wrong, nothing.
No.
The way I'm doing it, nothing would ever happen bad. But yeah, it is weird to think about because some people, their channels, their names. Like if you Google this person, if you want to hire them, their channel comes right up. So obviously, they're in industries where they're not working with minors and have to think about that stuff maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. See, it's a different reason you wouldn't want to put yours out there. Mine is I just didn't want people. I also don't just want people asking me about it at work. But the other thing I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned your voice. So, you mentioned Dan and Lizzie actually, their YouTube video. They were one of the few beer reviewers I actually watched aside from your channel, which I watch yours. And I shouldn't probably even use the term watch because when I start work, I work from home now. I go to your YouTube channel and I click your video and I don't always have it up and I listen to it. And I almost find, and this may sound weird, but I almost find the voice relaxing as a good way to start my day and drink my coffee and hear you talk about the beer. Yeah. So it's almost a benefit of your channel. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I've heard it the opposite way. A couple people, and it not in a disrespectful way, but they're like at night, it's just kind of, you're just calm and kind of just doing your thing. And it helps me fall asleep. And I'm like, you sure I'm not supposed to take offense to this? Like, yeah, it sounds like I'm bored. Like, no. It's just, yeah, because I'm not super spastic going back again to the teaching thing, that is me in the classroom. And again, I think that's why, because I'm definitely one of those people, like if I'm drinking a beer, I'm going to get tired. So like I have to be done with everything. So like I put on, 5 shows that day for my students, trying to get them as engaged as possible, came home, took care of the dog, made dinner, cleaned up dinner, blah, 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 blah. I'm exhausted, downtime, doing my beer review before I, finish it and go to bed. And I do think, I don't know. I wonder if it was more like how I teach, how my videos would do with people, because that is the positive feedback I typically get is I'm not overstimulating, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so I go from like watching your video and then I put on like a podcast like Mark Maron. I listen to his, and it's kind of the same almost audio quality of like there's not like super high peaks, low peaks, and I can still listen to the content and like take it in. So it's almost like that's it. Like it scratches an interesting itch for me. You know what I mean? You ought to do like a. Have you ever thought about like for holidays, just like do like a reading of like The Night Before Christmas or something on your channel or something?
Yeah, maybe. Someone just commented the other day they really liked. Actually, it was Ross. I don't know if you're still watching, Ross. I was reading the side of a can, and he's like, "You read that exactly how a teacher would read that." I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough." I do appreciate Hoppier Days, all Hoppier. Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, the true name of. Okay, yeah. Okay, he's out of Buffalo. If you don't know him, yeah, I do review a lot of hyped beers. Fair enough. Yes. yeah. I have a voice. Yeah. I have a certain voice.
You get just once a month, do like a reading of like The Pit and the Pendulum or something like that.
You know what I got a few times when my voice is they don't know his name, but they'll say less now because the show's not in reruns as much. You sound like the older brother from Everybody Loves Raymond, and I'm like, that's not that's not a compliment. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You know, he's had some very successful voiceover work, but yeah.
Oh, that's great. I can definitely hear that.
Yeah, too funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just highlights the like we're both in the beer tuber world, but it's like wildly different spectrum aspects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say, like, fair enough. Like, my personality might be the other end. If I was more technical, like, because it's one of the things I kind of pride myself on. I know the gist of how you make beer and things like that, but like I don't have all of the term. Like, I'm not trying to be that person. Mm-hmm. That person might be a little bit further past me that way. And
yes.
And for you, again, like, I don't know. I mean, Dan and Lizzie do some humor on their channel, but I don't know. And again, I hate to say like in the beer space because it sounds pretentious, but like, like. I can't think of anyone else quite doing what you're doing or something similar. Love him as a blowfish.
Not sure what that means.
Wait, like I don't sound like Darius Rucker or something, right? Because he's making.
Is that was the guy Ray's brother a blowfish in like Finding Nemo or something like that?
Oh, he was. Thank you. Okay,
that's just a random.
Yeah, I put that he was so. He's in the tank, right? I think he voices one of the ones in the tank. Yeah, yep.
I've never seen it. I just like kind
You've
of like
never seen Finding Nemo?
I like cartoons for the most part. I don't like animated stuff. Like animated like CGI Pixar. It just doesn't ring with me.
Interesting. Okay. So you mentioned Beavis and Butthead and The Simpsons. Like, do you like? Is it the CGI part, or is it more you just like the 30-minute?
I like so the concept of The Simpsons, something like The Simpsons, it's like grounded a little bit in reality, and it like pulls off all of these like it's America. It's like it's the quintessence. If someone was like, what embodies American culture, what show or what it would be The Simpsons. The Simpsons wraps everything up, and it gets all these tropes just right. It gets these personalities. There's not a single person out there that can't relate to some aspect of The Simpsons, and I love that. And it's animated though. Yeah. They can get away with being even zanier and doing this stuff at a lower budget because it's animated. Yeah. Is my preference animation? No, it's definitely not. But when it's something as so good as The Simpsons, I can make an exception. You know what I mean? Does that make?
Yeah. No, The Simpsons, I go back and forth a little bit. The Simpsons was for the longest time my favorite show, and then I'll go back and forth on things and I'll bring it back up. That you're right, like especially like those early, and yes, it gets zanier, whatever, but like those first especially I mean, the first season period was just, I mean, that could have been live action as easily because there wasn't anything they were trying to do that wouldn't be easily filmable. You know, just a family show, you know, a show about a family. I mean, and sure, like you said, it is cheaper if they're seeing a football game to animate it versus having to get a football stadium with people. But yeah, I mean, The Simpsons does a wonderful job of grounded, craziness happens, back to grounded within the same episode. Sometimes maybe one's more grounded, one's more zany episode. But yeah, I mean, I just, back when I was thinking about trying to be in comedy, I actually wrote a Simpsons spec script. And then I didn't know how anything worked, so I just sent it to a show I heard was being made, and obviously they just throw that crap away if you don't have an agent and, you know, do it the right way. But I'm like, all right, I heard that like that was like what you do. You have a spec script. You have to like write a script for a show, but it can't be the show you're sending it to because they can't read them because then you could sue for plagiarism. So I'm like, all right, so this show didn't even get made. I just heard about this show was going to maybe be made, so I just sent it to Paramount or whoever. You know, again, they just threw it away. But yeah, it was a Simpsons. I'm like, I know the Simpsons well enough, like characters well enough. I think I could do that. Come for the Wegmans content, save the Simpsons analysis. Heck yeah. I mean, I don't have any handy, but like I was even such a dork. I'd read like The Simpsons and philosophy, The Simpsons and religion, like all those. Yeah. Okay.
I know exactly what you mean. We actually had I went to Oswego College. They actually had a course you could take about Simpsons and philosophy. They also had one about Seinfeld and philosophy, which was kind of interesting.
That's cool.
But like, it's because the breadth of work for them is so large and covers so many topics, and it's so grounded that you can pull from it for anything. You know, The Simpsons. You know, very very accurate. The first season, second season were so just, it could have been a sitcom like with live actors. They didn't do anything really out of the wild, like, you know. And then it got progressively got dark, then it got zany, and now it's like found its like the perfect balance of all of it. I don't think I think the people who say that The Simpsons haven't been good in years are wrong. They're the same. I believe they're the same people who say SNL hasn't been good in years. Is it not good, or are you just not appreciating what you're seeing right now, and it just takes a minute to get to you, or something like that? You know, just later on you're going to look back on it. No one loves like what they see immediately a lot of times, unless it's fresh and new. They look at it such a critical eye, and that's how I feel about The Simpsons and SNL. Was that kind of what we were talking about? I don't know. I just rambled.
Yeah, no,
I blacked out.
We're continuing the streak of you saying the exact same thing that I'm thinking. I mean, I think there's like your formative years. So like, I don't know how close we are in age. I'm 38. So like,
I'm 49.
The Simpsons.
I'm 49.
You look really good for 49. You look really good. I know that's probably not nice to say.
I'm 34.
So I was 6 when The Simpsons premiered. I watched a lot of television growing up. Like I watched a lot of TV. So like I would even watch the Tracy Ullman show, my mom, and I remember like those cartoons. They're gonna have a show, Kyle. I'm like, what? Really? That's cool. That's my favorite part of the show we watch. I don't get anything else, but the cartoon part's funny. And so I've been watching since '89. So like the first 8 years, you know, that was, you know, hugely influential on my perception of comedy. And I understand when people say it's a golden age, and I agree. Like, it's still funny, it's still good. I still watch them all. And then the Saturday Night Live, I think you get that. Like, like everyone has like their cast that like they just click with. But I think the other thing, this isn't my idea, I heard someone else say this, is I think some people look at new episodes and they're comparing it to like best of DVDs they used to watch of like Farley and Will Ferrell. And it's like, it's not fair taking the best of the best and comparing it to the weekly. We're putting on a show, you know?
Yeah, you're comparing a curated set that's perfect.
Yes.
And then you're comparing it to one Saturday night that you're up, you know, watching it. And it doesn't work that it's apples and oranges for a overused term, but that's like exactly what it is. Yeah. It's not I mean, they even have best of Christopher Walken DVD and compilations for SNL, and like it's so radically different, you know? And even just with YouTube, those popular old sketches go right to the top. That's what people see, and then they compare it. Yeah.
Exactly right. They've been doing a good job actually of putting new skits on YouTube, and then also going back to their old episodes and putting them up there. Yeah, I found some good ones I used to like. Yeah.
You know who kills it, in my personal opinion, for YouTube is Jimmy Kimmel. Him putting his late night stuff up. I mean, all the late night shows do it, but Jimmy Kimmel's stuff is so different compared to all the other late night ones, late night comedians. Jimmy Fallon, you watch him and you're like, this guy just is trying not to offend anyone, but try to be funny. You know, Jimmy Kimmel lets his personality come through. Oddly enough, it's on the Disney-owned network out of all of them. You know? But his skits are so funny, and his monologues are so good. The writers on Jimmy Kimmel are incredible. They no one can hold a candle to them. And it's their YouTube channel. All of it's just right on there immediately. And I don't have to stay up to watch it. And I've really grown over the past 2 years to love Jimmy Kimmel's show. Just an endorsement for him.
How much he paid for that, man?
Yeah.
So I'm a Conan OBrien fan. If I could meet any person, dead or alive, it would be Conan OBrien. And it comes back from The Simpsons, but he wrote for
Simpsons writer.
You know, and going back to the zany, you know, arguably the guy who brought zany to The Simpsons. That's a whole other thing we could go on. But because Harvard Lampoon, The Simpsons, well, Saturday Night Live first, then The Simpsons, then his late night career. But I'm getting back to your point. So Conan is an end all be all for me. This year, with the weirdness of school, we had the virtual and in person and all that kind of stuff. And like with busing, and you can only have so many kids on the buses, they had to short version stagger the schedule. So I had to show up about an hour before the students did. Mm-hmm. And that hour when I was grading, lesson planning, responding to emails, all that, it started popping up Jimmy Kimmel's monologues, probably because I watched some Conan stuff. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let me hear a different voice talking about whatever. Really took to Jimmy Kimmel. You know, I knew him from the Man Show, which has not aged well, obviously.
No, it hasn't.
You know, so like I kind of came back. I mean, probably since then when I was young and dumb and watched it, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's that guy. He's got a show, okay. And then I'm like, wow, and I agree 100%. Like you were saying about your personality, some of your politics, whatever are going to come through. Certainly is true of him. It seems in a lot of ways, it seems the most real because of that.
Yes. And it's very easy to seem fake for those late night shows. Very easy.
Yeah. I'm sure like Jimmy Fallon's a nice guy, but you're right. Like it very much is like, how can I not offend anyone with, and they do some good stuff. Don't get me wrong, but like it is. Yeah.
And you don't have to offend someone to be funny, but
Also true. Yeah. And Joe, I don't disagree. I mean, but like I remember thinking this, and I don't disagree. That might be my favorite cast too. And then the wrecking ball that was Will Ferrell comes, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, this is really funny, and the show just keeps moving on, finding more talent. But if I had to pick my favorite cast, it probably would be that. But again, my formative years still good though. I agree. Let me some Kimmel Fallon. So he's using the same thing we're kind of saying with Fallon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious because Conan's going to do something on HBO Max, but I guess they still don't even know what the show's going to be.
I was trying to look that up, and like aside from clickbait articles, I couldn't find really anything about what it was.
Even I was checking out his last 2 weeks worth of shows, and that seemed to be the consensus when people would ask him about it. He's like, we're still figuring out what the show will be. I love his podcast. You mentioned Mark Maron, who does an amazing podcast. Mm-hmm. I think Conan's podcast is also really good.
I feel like Mark Maron was like his first guest or second guest on this podcast.
I think he was early on. Yeah.
It's like Conan needs a buddy or needs a friend or something like that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
It's a good premise. It's good shtick.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I could go on and on about Conan. He's my number one person to meet.
Yeah, rooted in The Simpsons. Like I said.
No, for sure. It's Conan, so it's probably gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if like age will move some of that or not. But it's one of the things I like about his podcast. Like I like when he's doing the interview part, but the before and after when it's just him, his assistant, and the engineer, and they're just kind of like riffing or like they have an idea that they're bringing back, and then you just see really that manic energy and like just I have to be on, which actually goes back to one of the earlier things I was asking you, if kind of people expect you to be funny all the time because you do a comedy channel.
Yeah.
Bill Burr, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Bill Burr's outstanding.
Yeah.
Bill Burr's so good at like you can give him any topic and he's able to come up with a take that he has good points about and he's strong, like has strong feelings about. And it's like you could tell that wasn't like a bit he had already. It's just something that like you've unlocked in his brain.
You ever see, I think it was in Philly where like the crowd turned on him and he just went like, I got 20 minutes left in this, whatever the number was. And he was just laying into them and he'd be like 15 minutes left. Oh my God. That was insane. That was impressive.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
I have, and pumpkin beers. I feel like.
What is that name?
In my mind, I always read it like snick, 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 but it's not. It's just like how I process it. But yeah, October and pumpkin beers, like August 1st, it was like release the Kraken, and I just saw. I saw Halloween candy at the grocery store yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that in July. Pumpkin's out now.
Yeah, that's always the first one that kind of clocks with me. Yeah,
seasonal creep.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. Speaking of Southern Tier, because my dad likes whiskey a lot, and he loves Pumpkin is his favorite beer, so I got him the Pumpkin whiskey, and he loved it. But I visited him recently, and they have a s'mores whiskey, which I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like artificial stuff, and it definitely has some artificial flavor in it. It was amazing. It was so much s'mores in a glass. I'm like, I don't even care if this has some artificial stuff in it. Got to drink those pumpkin beers. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's the funny thing to me is like, are people drinking pumpkin beers like today? But then the second Halloween hits, I feel like no one wants pumpkin beers. I'm like, come on, pumpkin beers are good at least for Thanksgiving.
Well, you know, I can't speak with that because I wait on the pumpkin beers.
Yeah.
However, the Saranac pumpkin seems to be harder to find in the past 2 years, and I love that beer. And it's harder to find, so I do pick that up right away. Celebration by Sierra Nevada. That's like one that comes out. It's a winter beer, but right when that comes out, it behooves you to drink that one as fast as you can because it's so fresh, so delicious. If you get a Sierra Nevada Celebration towards Christmas, typically it's going to not taste good. It's not going to taste good because it was made in October. And I think some beers do hold up, some IPAs, but that beer is so good when you get it right when it comes out. You can't even drink it when it's winter, and it's supposed to be 4.
Yeah, and you're right. That beer is very good and so good fresh. Two of my locals just announced, especially like I could see the big names just to like get distribution, get them in the stores, get the shelf space. But and I don't know how big these two locals are you're talking about, but like I would think smaller local ones would want to wait a little bit closer. I don't know.
Are they worried about it hanging over? Maybe make a smaller batch? I don't know.
Oh, did I pronounce that? There's no way to pronounce that right. Snick. It's like one of those things if I read it fast, it's going to sound like I'm saying a bad word or something. You're correct. Yeah. So my friend Greg's from up here, lives in Florida now, and that's his favorite pumpkin. And to your point, Sam, I haven't been able to send it to him the last couple of years because he can't get it down there because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's Saranac. Like, how am I not like? Why is it hard to find?
It used to be everywhere, so much more popular. Then I remember they started coming out with these little like
growlers.
Yeah, and after that, it started to not be as popular, like it not everywhere. And that one is like the quintessential, which might be the wrong word to use, but it is. It's the beer that is a pumpkin ale that I think beats all other pumpkin ales. Pumpkin's delicious, but you won't taste anything like it. It tastes buttery with the crust and everything in there. Yeah. The pumpkin ale by Saranac has that spice. They don't add pumpkin to it at all. Yeah. And it's just that pumpkin spice that's so good, and just the base ale in it is just delicious.
The Dogfish had one.
The Dogfish had one. Yeah, Allison's bringing me in a beer real quick, so I appreciate her doing that. She's so sweet. I'm staying up late tonight to watch the volleyball game, so got to have my second beer, you know?
Nice. Yeah, Joe. The theme weeks, I'm a big fan of doing them. I'm a big fan. I know you are too, Joe, and I do like that. And you're right, like the local state ones, I mean, maybe like really small places. I'm trying to think of like other New York ones I really like. And we recommend Horseheads, which I don't even think they're open anymore. Theirs was good. But yeah, Saranac definitely worth getting.
Horsehead, is that the one that's down near Ithaca or no?
Little south, kind of by Elmira.
Okay, yeah. They have so one of my friends, used to be coworker friend, tells me about a nacho beer they have that's like nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, New Glarus. Strawberry rhubarb, another fruited beer. Yeah, Horseheads. The first beer I had from Horseheads was a like chili beer, and I only like chili beers if it's a stout. And I ended up using it as part of a marinade because it was just I hated it. So I was like, screw Horseheads. But then I had their pumpkin beer. I was like, okay, never mind. I'm back on closer to the PA. They're pretty close to the PA border. That's true, Joe. Yeah.
The Sculpin, remember those beers I haven't seen around too much by Ballast Point. That habanero beer, I brought that to Thanksgiving a couple years ago, a 6-pack, but I brought 4 of them. And like my family, aside from my dad, both sides of my family always think like, oh, you drink all that funny beer. What flavor beer is that? You know, they use terms like that, you know? And I brought this habanero Sculpin, and everyone tried it, and they're like, "Oh, is this the shit you drink? This is the stuff you like?" And you know, still 3 years. Thanksgiving, they'll tell me, "Oh, at least it's not that spicy beer. I can't believe you drink that shit." No, it's not really. I wanted to try it.
Yeah. They had a good thing with Sculpin, and they definitely were like trying different variants to see what would catch or not catch. All right, so what beer are you drinking now? I think we have to talk about that.
Yeah, I am drinking something called Together or Alone. It's Foam and Other Half. It's a double IPA, but it's got oat and lactose in it. It's pretty good. This is a case of I bought this for the label because I loved the two people in the same shirt, and the arms go all the way around connecting. And I was like, that's just awesome. So I bought a 4-pack of it. They were literally stocking it when I came into the craft beer deli, and I was like, I'll just take it.
And I love their stickers. Just like you don't see anyone else's stickers just looking like that. How it has a little crescent.
Yeah, it's like die cut.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a jalapeno specifically was the pepper. And again, this might have been before I was married. I mean, this was a while ago. I don't know if I had it enough to know that. I think I kind of like was one and done. If I remember correctly, I was like, I don't really like it's just not a style I want heat in.
Yeah, I had the 1 6-pack, about the 1 6-pack, and I remember it was expensive for what it was. It was like $26 or something, I feel like. And
The Syracuse area.
Spicy. Yeah. Beautiful Liverpool, New York.
Yeah, I don't know if it was before or after they got bought, but yeah, their prices. I mean, craft beer is more expensive than macro, obviously, but like, yeah, like the Ballast Point prices definitely seemed a little bit higher than the rest. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and they were one of the first that like I felt like broke through of like, oh, this is a major brewery that's finally getting distribution in New York, and
Yeah.
Then there was like Bell's did that. There was like certain ones that were like really pricey right when they first came out.
When I turned 30, my buddy went to PA to get some beer he couldn't get in New York, and Bell's was one of them. And it's so funny now, like Bell's sits on the shelf in New York, but like 8 years ago, someone had to drive from New York to Pennsylvania to get it.
Yep. Or like now Zombie Dust is everywhere in Syracuse. And that was like one of the ones, oh, you got Zombie Dust? Oh, can you send me a bottle of that,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah. So the Three Floyds, and then Toppling Goliath too, like Pseudo Sue and all that stuff started coming, and now, like everything else, it sits, Which, hey, I mean, easy to buy now, but yeah. Two Hearted's delicious. Yeah.
Oh, Two Hearted's great. They have one, the low alcohol one is outstanding. It's Two Hearted, but it's low alcohol. I can't remember what it's called.
It's not like One Hearted, but yeah, it
might be low hearted. Yeah. Yes, half hearted maybe. I'm not sure.
Something like that. Yeah. So for that birthday party, my friend brought they had a rye pale ale, or it was a rye IPA, which was really nice, and then brought in the Two Hearted, which was so good.
So,
I-90 covered.
Yeah, we got all the stops.
Hopslam has always been a very pricey beer. That's true.
Well, that's high alcohol. They always price things high alcohol, and it's high alcohol because it's like half of it's honey, so it's just the honey fermented.
That's what I was gonna say. The price of honey, I get it.
Yeah.
Lighthearted. So lighthearted makes sense for the light one. Double Heart is really thumbs up. Did I have it or not? I know it came out. Like I've heard of it, but I don't know if I had it.
Yeah, I don't know if I've had that one either. Here, I'm just gonna. Oh, you got a couple.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, Lagunitas pricing. I think even after Heineken, aren't their prices still?
They're comparable.
At least average craft beer prices, but I mean, Lagunitas, especially like when they were only out of California, and then you get them in New York. It's like, so they had to ship it across the country, still this cheap price, always blew my mind. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Sam mentioned the honey. I think besides the higher alcohol, the cost of honey, I think they do put a lot of honey in that beer. Sam, you were going to say something before I was clicking those comments?
Two things. First, Lagunitas is delicious, but Sierra Nevada takes the cake for me for being like comparable to like Lagunitas or anywhere there. They produce everything they make. I've never bought a Sierra Nevada beer and been like, this sucks, or this is mediocre. It's always like, I'll buy this again, or like, I gotta buy this again.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is, here's a hot take. I don't know why I want to come out with this. Maybe just to get your reaction. The 120-minute Dogfish IPA, I think it sucks.
If you go into that beer, because they advertise it like, if you like hoppy beers, this is the beer for you. It's a hophead's dream, whatever the wording is. It's a blonde barley wine. So if you don't like barley wines, that's not the beer for but they misadvertise it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because they're like age the 120-minute and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to do that, and I don't like the taste of this one. It's too strong. It's just There is the 91 minute or 71 minute, which is really good. And I've only had that a couple times. They do something with wine barrels with it, and it's very good.
I think that one's 61.
Is it? Yeah.
I think it's 60 with the grape must or whatever it is. Yeah, that is nice. And then there's 75 mixes 60, 90, and maple syrup, I think, which was better than it sounds like it would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sam, finally, you have said something I disagree with because I do love 120 minute.
I just don't like that one.
Barley wine, so I was trying to find a Oh, I already clicked on that one. Yeah, I clicked. Yeah, here we go. This is a new one I wanted to click on. Was the first to get a flood of that. Oh, really? That I don't know, because I know they expanded from Petaluma, California to Chicago. I mean, who knows? Like their IPA might be brewed at Heineken at this point, for all I know. It was Heineken who got. I don't know if that was hedge fund. I don't know.
The pandemic's been my period of falling back in love with Sierra Nevada. Yeah.
I tell you what, and I think doing the channel like I do, where it's like a beer a day, but I think a lot of craft beer drinkers, I'm not, because I do the ticking as well. You want to try new things. You forget how good those beers you used to drink were. You forget like those brewers that are that big, who got like the first brewers to get that big, why they got that big. And you go back and drink some of those beers. And I think Sierra Nevada is a perfect example. You drink some of those beers, it's just like, why don't I drink these beers more? Yeah.
Celebration, Torpedo, man, you can't beat those.
Yeah. And yeah, that pale ale is the best pale ale I've ever had. Yeah. So it is 61 is the grape, and then 75 with the maple. Too Hard has a place in my heart. Hopslam makes me think of getting Super Bowl. All I can use IPA drink is from Chicago. Yeah, that makes sense to me, Ross, because of where they are logistically and how much IPA they're cranking out, that they would do that in Chicago.
I got to say, Ross, I love those specs in your profile photo, man.
He's like a handsome, bespectacled version of me. That's what that picture is like. You dropped 40 pounds and had really nice glasses. Ross is, you mentioned this before, like interacting with people. Ross is one of the people who will text every once in a while, like pictures like, he toured Chicago or whatever, it's, oh, that's fun, man. Oh, you're on a boat. Definitely really love that about doing this is like meeting people.
Yeah.
Prices can be the price. It's going to be very interesting going forward. A local brewery to me just put out a thing last week. They're like, we got to increase our costs. Like it's just the price of cans and some of the ingredients are going up.
Yeah, I understand that.
Which, yeah, it's true. Still have your. I tell you what, I just saw the Nerd Sense guys did this, and I was very jealous because it's such a cool idea. Same recipe, and they were pretty sure that they'll use their own yeast, and that was probably why that one tasted different.
Well, we kind of saw that same recipe, different brewery with the Black is Beautiful and the what was the one that
Altogether.
I was thinking All Works for some reason. Yeah. It was to benefit like hospitality workers. Yeah.
Yep. I see they're doing one. It's like to draw attention to women in craft beer. It's so new, I haven't seen one in real life, but that'll be. I think that's the same kind. I think it's a recipe, not just like brew a beer and slap this label on it and donate 10%.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Joe, I always liked his shelf reviews because again, the best reminder is drinking it yourself. Because then like someone talking about it's just like this reminder of like some of the stuff that's on the shelf, easily like make your own 6-pack and it's got like the most generic stuff. Delicious. There's a reason why they make so much of it and people drink so much of it.
So I have a suspicion about that make your own 6-pack for Wegmans, and maybe you might know the answer. I don't know if this is even right or wrong. I suspect it's 6-packs and 12-packs that have been busted in transit or busted there, and they take the remaining ones and put it on the shelf. like if they get a 6-pack and there's 5 that are still there, they just put them on the shelf for the mix your own 6-pack.
I don't know if that's all of them, but I am sure that is some of them. Yeah. I don't know what, because I have been at like a Wegmans where I've heard people say, "Oh, we're low on this. Go open up a case of Stone IPA or whatever and put it in." But I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm sure there's filler that they always put in there that like, you know, it makes it, as long as it's lower than a certain price point, they're making more money on it. But then other ones, because like they're going to a fish concert out in SPAC one year, I was stocking up on beer and I walked by the craft beer, make your own 6-pack. And they had the, it's not Dale's Pale Ale, but they're like high proof version. It's in a black can with a red label.
Is it Deviant?
It's something like that. Yeah. I almost said it was like Devil's Pale Ale instead of Dale. So Deviant might make sense.
But it might be yeah.
But it's like 60-ounce cans, 4 of them for like $20. But they had them in the make your own 6-pack. I made my own 6-pack of all 6 of them, and I took that to SPAC, and like. So that was obviously something was wrong with those, and they put them on the shelf because they're not making money on those. Yeah. But some of them I think are just like, oh, let's just throw some Leinenkugels in there and hopefully someone buys it.
And I think too is sometimes when you have then created a make your own 6-pack at your store, people will grab beers that aren't supposed to be there. So then sometimes I'll see the remaining beers actually put in the make your own 6-pack. Yeah. Like I think the first time I ever tried Goose Island's Bourbon County, it was in the make your own 6-pack. And I'm like, there's 3 of them. I'm like, wait, that price is, it's like 4-pack for whatever. I'm like, that math doesn't check out at all.
It's close coded. What's close coded? I don't know what that means. Matt Hart he's a manager at a grocery store, so he would give us the direct. You were saying Ross is a great guy for engagement. He messages up. Matt, I've grown a good friendship with him just meeting him on YouTube and stuff. Same type of guy.
It is. I was talking to some friends of my wife last weekend, and I'm like, I know it sounds weird because like you meet people on the internet, but I said I've actually met some like really cool and normal people, yes, by doing this, and like so off the internet. But yeah, here we go. Near expiration. Okay, that makes sense based on the name. It's crazy to see distro beers that were super hard to get back in the day. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Zombie Dust might be the best example of that. A beer. My wife went out that way for a conference, and it was like the most amazing thing ever that she could bring me some of that back. And now, it's just like on the shelf here.
It's literally down the road in Liverpool. I sat at the bar Cobblestone and had a Zombie Dust. And it's like, not today, but getting kegs of it.
It's all. Hey.
So, if we have time, I wanted to ask you something else about your channel. Yeah. I'm curious about your just like schedule and like how you do these, because I don't know if you've ever explained it. And I assume you have your like light and camera always set up in the same spot, tripod set up in the same spot, and you've never given like almost a tour around it. I want to know like where it is. What's your schedule? You're drinking 1 beer every night. How are you doing this?
So. I think when I moved here, I might have done like, here's the room, but that would have been like 3 years ago. And it wasn't so much technical stuff. It was just like, hey, this new house we bought has an old root cellar and there's some shelves already built. So I'm gonna put my beer here. Because when I first moved here, I was filming here up in this room. I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool. All my nerdy stuff's up here. It's like a lot of things to look at in the background. And then for whatever reason, I'm sure someone suggested it, maybe even my wife was like, you should do it down in the basement where all these beers are. And it's like, oh, actually that would be a good appropriate backdrop.
It's a great backdrop.
It was such it just made so much sense. I can't believe I didn't think about it originally when we moved here. But yeah, so like you go in my basement, it has a very normal basement. There's a little room that I use for like paint supplies and stuff, and there's a root cellar that mostly is the beer stuff, and then some boxes for like Halloween and Christmas decorations. And like you said, I have the lights up all the time. There's I-beams, not I-beams. There's the wooden beams. So I just clamped on 2 lights, one on each side, and then the middle drawstring light. So it's like my 3 light system. Like you said, the tripod's always in the same spot. And yeah, typically I drink 1 beer a day. So it's like in a perfect world at 7 p.m., I go down there and do a beer review. And unlike you, I don't really edit. I just cut off the beginning and the end, like when I'm walking to sit down and then getting up to come back at the end. So ideally, 10 minutes, I'm back upstairs because my wife's better at Wheel of Fortune than I am, and I'm better at Jeopardy. So I try to do the beer review during Wheel of Fortune, and then that way I'm primed to win at Jeopardy. So that's kind of anyway. So it pretty much is. So years ago, this would have been 15 years ago. I was getting into craft beer, and my then girlfriend, her dad was like way ahead of the curve on it. And he was helping me get some stuff that you couldn't get. And again, like anything we've been talking about, like Arrogant Bastard was one of the things that like, what is this here? But 15 years ago, you didn't get that in New York. So we had lived together for a year, the girl and I, not her father. And she got me into doing like a nightcap and just having 1 beer a day. And I just kind of kept that habit going where, when I was done with everything, I'm going to have a beer. So that's kind of what I do now is if I'm going to have a beer, I might as well film it. If it's a beer I think my wife will like, I might film it, have her taste if she likes to drink the rest, and maybe do a second beer review. Now that it's summertime, I might do 2 or 3 in a day, just because of the time.
Are the videos I see posted, like, say I wake up on a Thursday, is that the video that was recorded on Wednesday, or are you planning them out farther?
It might be that quick, yeah. Like the video I posted yesterday, I didn't post a video today because we were doing this. The video I posted yesterday, I filmed Tuesday. I reviewed a beer yesterday that I'll post tomorrow, which I, again, would have posted today. But, I mean, I do try to get a backlog, at least of a few. Talking to people who do it the way I do, like who do beer reviews like me, they'll have a backlog. They have week, month, whatever. I don't. So, like, I traveled last weekend, so I didn't have any videos for Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. I used up my little bit of a backlog. It was back to 0.
Okay. So I just assumed you were like 2 weeks out or something. You planned each day or something. Maybe one day if you could just hold up the local newspaper so I could see it.
Yeah. So the beer the beer I'm going to post tomorrow. Here's the beer. I drank it on this day. So there you go.
He records them so far. Yeah.
My mom randomly had kept that and like recently was like, being a history teacher, I thought maybe you'd want this. I'm like, yeah, cool, thanks. And it was history, obviously. So I'm like, yeah, maybe it'd be cool to have. But yeah, okay. So this is Keith at 93 Lumber. He also typically rocks a lava lamp. So there's some lava lamp love.
Everything I do, I love nostalgia, and I get some sort of feeling of nostalgia from my lava lamp that I had as a kid, and I got that, and I love the thing.
I had a green one, and I remember when it first was starting to work, we turned it on, it almost looked like a brain sometimes, like it was such a weird, and then it finally got into how you think, lava lamp looks.
Yeah. I've been cooking this thing all day knowing I was going to be on here.
had to set the mood. Yeah, Keith's a good dude. If I know I would have to New York and hold the boombox outside the room.
What is that movie? Say anything.
Yeah, say anything. Yeah, I was trying to think of a song that Joe wouldn't want Keith to play outside of his house, and I couldn't think of anything funny. So,
Chop Suey by System of a Down.
There it is. See, I knew you'd come in and save me. Too funny.
That's good stuff. So does the wife ever want to be like, hey, I want to jump on and tell you what I think of the beer?
So that was actually something I want to talk to you about, because there's not a lot of channels. There are some channels that women do, period, and there are some where maybe it's a husband, wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend. And you, half the time, and although it seems more recent that you guys have been doing them together, let alone when it's you and your grandmother.
Yeah.
But you have a pretty good. Are those your most watched videos?
Definitely, without a doubt. Yes.
Yeah. My grandma loves craft beer, and I wouldn't try to make it funny, but I have thought about like, hey, do you want to do one of these reviews with me? Because she does she likes stouts and IPAs and stuff. She'd be a trip, I think. But
I think it'd be interesting. I mean, man, just do it. Just do it. Why not?
I should. But yeah, my wife. It's funny. Like every once in a while, she'll see. Not even beer, just like a YouTube channel or Instagram, or whatever. And she's like, yeah, if I wore like a low cut shirt and just sat in your videos, like you'd get so many more subscribers. I'm like, I would. That's true. You always bring it up, honey, but you never do it. But yeah, she has a way better nose than me. Like she could, across the room, did you open the peanut butter jar? Like, I mean, just like, so I think she'd be really good at that. But when she drinks a beer, it's just like, yeah, this tastes like a beer. It's like, well, okay, like you got to give me more than that. So I don't think she'll ever do it, but she does bring it up every once in a while. Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting. You could guide her through it, even if she says it's just beer. Like people, it'd be interesting. Funny you say that she has a better nose, because Allison, my wife, has. I call her Mrs. Olfactory because she smells everything. And like, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like she'll come into the room and she's like, I think one of these plants is dead in this room or rotting because I can smell it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a perfectly good plant. Yes.
It's a nice dynamic. I mean, again, like different kinds of content, but like having someone else to bounce off of. Well, okay, so doing things like this, I do find it actually a little bit easy, especially if they had like the same beer and then you're like, oh, like I'm getting mint. It's like, oh, that's that thing I couldn't pinpoint or whatever. So like the way I do it, I do like when someone else is with me, whether in real life or virtual. Mm-hmm. For you with the comedy, like we were talking about before, stand-up versus sketches versus whatever, like do you find it easier when it's just you, or when it's you and her, or you and your grandma? Or
I mean, like I don't trust myself just to review a beer anymore. I feel like I've almost set like a bar for myself when I need to do some sort of gimmick. Unless I'm with someone, then I play off them and they play off me, and I can edit it more. So that's how it is. I've almost cornered myself, I feel like, in a way. Mm-hmm. But so it's a little bit of both. Every single time I record a video, I pound a coffee, and I'm like, I'll just go in there wired, I think, and I'll just see what I can make.
I did the opposite, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, where I took some CBD on an empty stomach. I really like CBD at this point in my life, but I found that if I did it maybe like at 5 o'clock, so I hadn't eaten since lunch, so I have an empty stomach, that's when I would really feel it in a good way. And I didn't tell anyone, but like then I filmed a review where I was definitely feeling super relaxed and calm and everything. And I sent it to some people. I said, I'm not going to tell you what's different. I'm like, but like just any thoughts. Mm-hmm. And no one said anything. I said, okay. But again, going back to Mr. Monotone, so I guess maybe me like just being super relaxed on CBD. But yeah, like
I think monotone's the not the right word. First, I think it's more soothing, Mr. Soothing, Mr.
And again, it was from Dutch, and then YouTube was trying to translate it to Dutch in a closed caption. But yeah, it was too funny. My wife, oh my god, she was just dying. Monotone, Mr.
Well,
Monotone.
If you enjoyed the CBD, man, I got something you got to try. No, I'm just messing around.
Yeah, off camera. But yeah, it was. I just needed to take the edge off. I was stressed. I come home from work like stressed. I don't have that job anymore. And but yeah, talking to people, I'm like, how do you like what do you do? You know, like it's such a stressful environment, such a stressful job. CBD. I don't know how many people are CBD. I'm like, okay. So I got some gummies, but I found this company called CBeer, and their thing is it has an emulsifier in it, so you can mix it with a liquid. And
Yeah,
I mean, it still has a very, you know, not like weed, but it has that CBD earthiness, whatever you want to call it.
Cut grass. Like
And I find like in a beer, it's still gonna power it. I'm not gonna say overpower, but it's definitely gonna be there. I had it last weekend with or 2 weekends ago with some lemonade. That probably was the least noticeable. But there are some hops like Strata where I get a good mix of lemonade and that weedy thing. So maybe I just kind of think those flavors go well together. Sometimes I'll do like watered down kombucha with the CBD. That's not too bad. But
another fermented thing that just it kind of blends.
Yeah, exactly.
Kombucha does always have that earthy taste to it, which is good. I feel like when it's super fruity, you don't get that earthy taste. I'm like, is this kombucha? What is this? You know, like you got to taste that like that mother kind of taste. You also get it from really good apple cider vinegar. Sometimes there's something in there that's just like it feels like it's good for you. There's something going in you that's like good for you.
Yep. Did I post it? Sam's channel's broken in the description. Crap.
Oh my God. I was doing this all for that link, man. What the shit?
I thought I put it I had it wrong, but it did link, and then I thought I put it the right way.
It should just be youtube.com/C, I think, for channel /Hoppier Days. Yeah. It doesn't bother me.
It bothers me. See, on my computer, it does it the same way where you were like,
that doesn't matter. You can
do you want me to put the one that we talked about before, or?
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't bother me.
I'll just put it here right now. Anyone who's watching right now, I'm sorry, man, that sucks. Yeah, make sure you check out his channel if you haven't already. But that one, that's one of the links that'll bring you right to his channel. Man, whatever. I tell you, boring story. But let me see Joe's thing. One thing he just had open heart surgery.
Oh man, salute! Cheers to you.
So he and I have been talking, and so his channel's been paused. He's done a couple updates, but it's been paused. I want to say like November. Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Just making sure his health is obviously the most important thing. Make sure everything's right.
Absolutely.
So the CBD interacts with the blood. Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. You hear things like grapefruit messes with some things, but I didn't know CBD. Interesting with the blood thinner. Okay.
AIO inhibitors, right? That's with grapefruit? I think.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think.
Do it again. Click this, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Yeah, my bad. I'll fix that and post.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't really care that people know my username. It's just that I switched to a brand channel, and it's supposed to be Hoppier Days, but I don't know. Sometimes it comes up as that.
Oh yeah, well. Same with mine. I think it still has the old one, and then No Hype Beer Reviews, but they both still link to the same. So two different addresses, but it still goes to the same thing.
Yeah. There's one last thing I wanted to mention. We were talking about, I could mention a billion things, but one thing I did want to say, we were talking about beers that were released that came to like around our area distributed. So me and Ale, when we got married, we went and did our honeymoon out in San Francisco. And we went to 21st Amendment Brewery. And we were gone for 10 days out to California. And our neighbors, who we love, and they're older folks, 65, 70, and we'd have dinner at their houses, and they would bring craft beer, and they loved craft beer. I still do. We wanted to send them back something from San Francisco. We packed up our suitcases, we packed up a postage box and mailed it back to our house for 21st Amendment Brewery. And we brought them back 2 4-packs. And then 2 weeks later, after we gave it to them, in Wegmans, there was a display that they just started selling 21st Amendment. And I had to tell Mike, our neighbor, I was like, swear to God, I didn't know that. We really brought these from San Francisco. I didn't just go to Wegmans and pick them up and just give them to you, man. Thanks for watching our cats.
That happened to me. I was in Belgium, and they're owned by AB InBev, or one of the big guys. But it was that Leff, Leffe. They do a blonde and a brown. And yeah, like we drank a lot of Belgian beers, obviously, because they make a lot of delicious beer there. But we drank a decent number of those because they were around a lot. And yeah, like came back the night I came back and met up with my then girlfriend and some friends at a bar. And it was like the first night they had that on draft. I'm like, I've never seen this in the States. And then I just had it and I come back and it's at the frickin' bar I went to. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You think you're like, ahead of the curve. The curve's right there with you. Man, Ross, you are really handsome. It's like if you took Sam's glasses and put them on a handsome version of me, it would be Ross.
I shaved my beard knowing I was coming to this because I know you always have a well manicured beard. I can't be the guy with like the neck hair down to here.
Yeah, no hype beard reviews. Yeah, I very harshly judge people's beards.
That's the next April Fool's video.
That would be good. That would be. Oh my God! Speaking of CBD and stuff, that really surprised me. I don't know. I was surprised people fell for it. And a lot of people did. I was really surprised by that. Probably maybe because I have such a just cookie cutter channel that like doing something weird, people are just like, yep, it's got to be true. I don't know.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
You like Belgians? Yes, I have been to Monk's. Very impressed with their tap list and the bottles and stuff. Yeah.
They always have Pliny.
And I was just gonna say that's the first time I had Pliny was there. It was Philly Craft Beer Week. Mm-hmm. We just happened to be walking down the street, and I saw like a sign that said, Pliny River. I was like, what?
It looks like Matt's drinking Arrogant Bastard too in his thumbnail, which we mentioned earlier.
It does look like he's drinking Arrogant Bastard from the bottle. Respect. Bringing it back from Europe. Nothing better than I could have got this locally and not paid so much to get it here. Yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just like he's living a good life. He's living a good life. Ross, I hope you are enjoying the praise, my friend.
The Ross compliment stream.
Some people are going to look at this as the live stream of Wegmans, of The Simpsons, and then the correct people are going to be like the outward pouring of affection towards how handsome Ross is. That's really what this live stream was.
Dude, I had all sorts of just like reminder stuff written down on my like thing that I might want to mention, and we didn't even touch on any of it. So
we can always do it again. And no, you're better than me. I spent all day. I thought I had like a 30-minute project yesterday, which turned into a 2-day. Long story short, fence post with the gate rotted. Bought a support, which I was supposed to just be able to pound into the ground, screw in, done, but couldn't pound it because of the concrete. It was broken in half, had to dig it all up, blah, 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 blah. Came in, ate, showered, did this. So I spent all day mad that the project was way bigger and did not prep too much. I know we had talked, had a couple ideas. I know I wanted to talk to you about the comedy ads. Like there was definitely things.
Yeah.
Because we have, I forget what we talked about off before we went live and what we talked about. No, I guess we did talk about this on the stream. We have DM'd as part of a group going way back with Dan and Lizzie.
Oh, yeah, 2 years?
It's got to be about 2 years, I would think. I remember what app we were using.
WhatsApp, which the only reason I remember that is because it was only for talking to you guys. I've never used it for anything else. Now it's owned by Mark Zuckerberg, the meat chef.
Oh, it is. Yes, it is part of that now. Yeah, that was only chat I used it for as well. Hence me not being able to remember the name of it. But anyway, then on Instagram, you and I, we've done like comments and we've done the DMs on Instagram. But that's what I'm saying. Like it's so like to the Beer Patrol. I met him in real life, and I forgot to introduce myself because I felt like I already knew him.
Yeah.
I walked into a room and like we just started talking. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, my name's Kyle. I'm Kyle or whatever. Like he knew that, I knew him, but like yeah, it was just.
I mean, this is our first time talking in person,
and that's what I'm getting at. Like,
went super easy,
very easy. Yeah, no, for sure. All right, Roz. So that's why you're very happy in that picture. Yeah. The meat chef.
The meat chef. That's Zuck, man. The meat chef. He's smoking his meats on Facebook Live.
Did he really do that?
Yeah. Oh man, you gotta look just after this. Look up Zuckerberg Meat Chef. It's a compilation of his live stream talking about how he's smoking meats. It was right when Facebook Live became a thing, and he thought he would start a live stream to get people into it. And he's like, "We're gonna be smoking meats out in my house," and he comes off more like an alien than ever before. Like it's great.
He really, yeah. Alien's a good term for him because he does seem like just super weirdo. Yeah, I don't know who's met the most people who do beer stuff on YouTube, but I've met a decent number in real life, and I kind of knew that I thought they were going to be cool in real life, but yeah, I've only had positive experience.
Yeah, me too.
The best. I mean, it stands to reason.
Yeah.
All right, so. We were only going to go like an hour. We went over an hour and a half. That's awesome.
Yeah. I could have went longer if I didn't have to piss so bad, man.
All right. Well, like let's do this again for sure. We'll do
absolutely. And you hit me up anytime. I'm ready.
Yeah. Cool. No, I love that. And yeah, I'm sorry I screwed up the link. Hopefully, if you're watching this not live, I've corrected the link in the description box below. Make sure you check out Sam. But for real, like I'm a huge fan of his channel. I have been for years. In an alternate universe, I did pursue something funny in my life, and it would look something like what Sam is doing with. Again, sounds super pretentious in the beer space.
I appreciate that. I really do. And once again, like I said, you're one of the only beer tubers I watch because of your format. I like it. And you got the intro and outro nailed down so good, man. And I can't do that shit. I can't memorize that stuff. I can't get something that sounds natural. You got it down with that. Kudos.
In person or virtual, when I turn it on, it always gets a laugh from whoever's like there. They're just like, wow, like it's like the anchor person or like you just the lights on, you got to go, and it is just the transition is too funny. We have someone from Rochester finally, so we were able to complete the I-90. We were able to get someone. That's part of the watch back. Yeah. You were very mean to me at that, Joe. That's true. Shut up, Joe. And Joe mentioned the I-90. All right. Thank you for everyone who watched and commented. And it's awesome. And we were talking about this before we started, and Sam was asking me like how this works with the comments and things. And it's just so nice when people are watching and commenting to be able to bring it up onto the screen and interact. And it's why on these Thursdays I wanted to do something a little different, either a live stream where I can interact in real time or post thoughts and then comment in the comment section back to people. I just, like Sam said earlier, it's the coolest thing about this is getting to know people, interacting. I know he's got to go to the bathroom, so I'm just really trying to out. So like, no, I'm just kidding. But Sam,
is it my shifting back and forth? No.
if you don't think about it, you'll be all right. Just you gotta get your mind off of it.
Now that we talked about it, I really do have to piss. I don't really. No, I do.
All right. Well, let's get going. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And we'll be talking soon, obviously.
Thanks for having me. I'd be happy to come back.
And you will. All right. Bye, everyone.
Yep.